Okay, so now we have the chart. I've just taken her. This is the moon to everything. The moon making aspects to everything in the natal chart. I've just highlighted where we are right now, 2017, 2018. Did I do anything else? What else do I have on here? Yes. Okay, so we'll back up to this, but this put the aspect. This gives us the moon to the sun. This is the phases of the moon chart for a lifetime. And right now in 2019 January, her progressed moon. There's the conjunctions going up before the opposition. This is the waxing gibbous moon phase. So you go in, you read the waxing gibbous moon phase, and you have the theme that you're in right now, and it's going to last until 2022, April 20th. So coming back, so coming back, we have, I'm just going to follow this around. See the new moons in 1978, 2008. We're looking at the next new moon is 2037, the full moon, 2022. So it's before the full moon. It's in this, it's still in the 6th house, but it's in this gibbous moon phase. So the moon's here, and the sun is gibbous. The sun will have to be, it's waxing, so the sun's going to be over here in Libra. You know, it's just, it's at that 150-degree aspect, so it's coming up to the full moon. But in looking at the light, so you can see she's coming up from there. She's coming up. It's gonna hit that full moon. Then it's still successful. It's gonna be an awareness, 6th house, health, her service, work, and then it's gonna move up to the descendant, where it begins to, where the need for relationships and the need for sharing. It's in the Pisces mode, and need for sharing kindness and compassion comes in. And that starts in 2023, where that moon goes above the horizon. So, and the full, and the next, and the new moon is just before, the new moon is just before that, before it hits the descendant, which is it's 2023. Then it's 2037 when it hits the full moon in the ascendant. So from the, oh yeah, and the new one, we're here to the full moon up to there. So that's still a fair phase in the life. If you look at that, you'll see the in 2017 there was the moon went into Capricorn down here, squaring, opposing the squaring the moon. Yeah, goes through Capricorn. Saturn ruled, then it squared the moon 2017 in December. Then it squared Uranus, shock around the family and home. Then it squared the moon. Then it opposed. The moon opposed her natal sun in November, and then challenging her self-importance, it went into the 5th house, and it's gone into Aquarius. And this was, we're out here, we're out on the wing here more, but this gives you the exact things going on. By 2020 in June, it's going to square the Saturn, so there'll be a bit of tiredness or seriousness or inhibition coming in, just a regular interpretation happening at this time as the progressed moon's coming up through Capricorn, then Aquarius, then Pisces to descendants. This is the phase that she's working on, that she needs to feel secure in as it's building up. Without the history and interaction, you can't take it too much farther. This, you get it organized, then you can come back to this anytime you need. You're coming back to the chart, and you have dates there, you have times there. You come back and see, well, I'm between here and there. So you start with the moon, and you look at the moon phases where it is. So you see here, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, going through here from 2017 up to 2023. Boom, it's all set up there. And then you can see that when it touches the angles, where it's coming from, where it's going to, then you can see the new moons. Sometimes you might start with the new moons and full moons, see where you are, and see when the next new moon is, next full moon is. Her full moon is she's coming up to a full moon in 2022. So her new moon was back in 2008. Now in this chart, there's no eclipses. Oh, yes, there is. What I did, instead of making the X, I made the circles bigger. So this eclipse in 2037, that's a solar eclipse. That's a big eclipse. That's a new moon eclipse, the solar eclipse, just in the 12th house on her ascendant. That's a very powerful spiritual point. That's something to be aiming your spiritual disciplines to get more and more together so that you're really profoundly there at that time. Okay, now it's all this detail, a lot of information. It's going to be based on her moon's in Aries, on impulse. It goes on impulse. But as her impulse comes, she'll need to be more Taurian, more practical, need to be more intelligent, need to be more feeling. She's got feeling the need of each planet, like in Capricorn, need to be more serious, or like you're going to have that need coming in on top of the Aries moon. The Aries moon will behave with this other agenda as the moon's going through the signs. Okay, so really just wanted to show you to set it up. You have the printout of this is a PDF. I just printed out the PDF. I pull it up and I've highlighted this phase that she's going through now. So you can see a year or two, the main aspects. You can see where it is. And that basically gives you your progressed moon. But as I told my story, she's going to have her story. So I had put the moon phases out so we could see that it was the gibbous moon phase. Okay, here's our next chart. I'm not going to need this anymore. I'm going to pull up the progression for sample 3. I'm going to pull it up. And here we go. Okay, I've done everybody's for what they're in now. The moon phase they're in now and what. So we're looking at the progressed sun. Her sun starts in the 8th house. It's going to go up through the 8th house, up to the midheaven, and then go through the 10th house. That's what's going in life, to more and more higher profile. It's not going down below the horizon like mine. It's going up to more and more prominence. Should be more and more known. Should be making more and more impressions. Should be putting things out in the world more across her life. Okay. Her new moons, they were 1981 in April, first new moon, deep impression. Then that's at a young age. So that's 81. That's at 14. That's to do with trust, family trust, money, resources, trust, but things change. Deep impressions happen then. Then she had the full moon in between that in 95. I see this dot. I look to the other side to get the date. 95. But my next new moon was in 2010 September. Really, it's giving the exact full moon, but any aspect, anything in the moon chart, in the progressed moon chart, it's going to be 2 months anyway. It's going to be a month before, a month after, maybe a month and a half before, a month and a half after. It's going to be in that range where that sensitivity is really there and your security and your feelings are tied into it. So that was 2010, big change, a new inner reassessment, but with principles, what's right and what's wrong. It's up in the 9th house now in Virgo. So this clears up, and then the last one comes in 2040. The last new moon comes conjunct to midheaven. The sun and moon and the midheaven, progressed sun, progressed moon, and the midheaven all conjunct. That's a very high profile point. She'll be very accomplished. She'll have accomplished and be fairly well known by that time. Okay, for her, that's 73. So she has, so if she's writing, if she's doing things, but she's going to be much more respected, much more accomplished at that time. Her progression is built up to that. So the inner things are inner challenges against the background of getting the confidence to go out into the world. But you can see the progressed moon, you see the new moons, the full moons, her phase of the moon. Right now, here's the printout for the phases of the moon. And I just highlighted 2017. It's the waxing. The waxing is after the conjunction, before the opposition. It's the waxing square. She's in the waxing half moon phase. And it goes on until December 2020. So you can go look that up. And in this phase from 2017, it's got the progressed moon goes 2017. Yeah, just after that started, the progressed moon went into the ascent, over the ascendant. It went into Capricorn, squared the midheaven, squares in February this year, it squared the Saturn. Then the moon opposed Mercury in March, so it's a bit muddled thinking perhaps. When it did the second instant, the full moon came, the moon opposed the sun, not the full moon. This is moon is opposed to the sun. It'll come next June, and July the moon will go into Aquarius. So that just gives you the steps for the year. Well, it's really the steps. I didn't do it exactly, but it's pretty much the steps going through this waxing half moon phase. So when you just look at this, if you just saw it, it's like a complicated, it's got so much information, so much, but when you're trying to work with it, you actually have got used to doing each planet at a time, and you've done that work, and you look at it's really conveniently laid out. You just have to slow down. There's the chart. Okay, where's the moon? Okay, here's sample 4. Where's the moon? There's the moon in Taurus. Okay, so I put this arrow going across for the conjunction of the new moon. The new moon starts up in the 8th house, so then move up to the midheaven, along, hit the ascendant, go down below, hit the IC, down below, 14 years, come back up above the ascendant, descendant 1990, comes back to its own place, and put the dates in, put that in 28 years, so that's 95, and then it hits the midheaven. 2004 hit the ascendant again. Then it came down. Then there was 2002. So it goes. You have the cycle going around. You can see when it hits the angles, when it hits its squares. With the squares, you can just add 7 years if you're eyeballing it. But you can write it. Take the time to write it in. The new moon was very young, 73, 5 years old, so 6 years old. Big change, starting school. Big impression. And then the full moon came along. Would have been 1987. But the second new moon, deep impression point, was in 2002 September. That's pretty close to her Venus, but it's there, and it's in the 11th house. There's a deep impression in 2002. Then that phase goes along, and she's going through the phases. That starts the new moon phases, building up, going up. But it hits her ascendant 2004. This new one's not till later. It goes around. Hits the IC 2010. 2017 hit the descendant. Then the full moon was back at 2016. Goes around. So you get the dates. 2025 is building up to the midheaven. But the moon, as the moon's going along, it's hitting the sun in the 11th, 12th, and 1st houses. So the first 3 new moons are all just straight new moons. And there's the only one that can be, and the only eclipse that comes in is the last full moon, if she lives that long, is a full moon eclipse. And that will, 1 second, has she been through, that's what she's been through that new moon, the new moon eclipse is 2016. I have it on the other right. Okay, 2016. Yeah, because some of her cycles keep going around outside. Stranger. Anyways. Okay, so there you see, there's the opposition. She's working on the full moon phase. She's in the waning full moon phase. You see the opposition. You see the aspect. You see this is the beginning of it until the next one, until the sesquiquadrate, the 135 degree comes in. It's not. It starts the next phase, and that would be the waning gibbous moon. So, okay,